custodian, bus driver, and secretary, and cook, and bottle washer, and a little bit of everything. Nancy Rivlin last night were telling a story of coming to Nativity and asking Gordy, the custodian, for an extension cord, and Gordy said, well, how long? And Nancy said, the whole year. You know, he meant a 12-foot or a 20-foot. Gordy never let her forget that. What a great place. And we honor Gordy and Carol, as well as Cindy, with this memorial at the Nativity Playground. There are these two benches, the Gordy and Carol Johansson Memorial Playground and Park, the Cindy Hutchins Sport Court. We honor still at Nativity these three individuals, and thank you, Cindy, for all your leadership. Here, 2 years ago, Mr. Lee Hoedl, reflecting on, and Lee led this project. Lee, I know you don't want to. Okay. Lee and Diane won $500 at Nativity Carnival in 2007. Let's give it back to the school. We need a playground. And so you started the project, you planted trees, and this is all of those years later. Thank you to the Hoedls, those of those benches. Lee's reflecting underneath the trees. You plant a seed, Cindy. You're the one who suggested, I think we need a playground. And then it bears fruit. Rhoda, are you here?
Yes.
Hello. Great staff members in Nativity, many over the years, and some have joined us today. Thank you, Rhoda. And there's quite a crew. I think that's 2013 or 14, gathered as we started our core values in different colors, but there's a whole Nativity staff. Great memories there. Last night at the football game, we had a special gator for Cindy, and there's former staff member Becky Lou Scott, friend. These guys graduated last spring, 2024. They're the last 5th grade class for Cindy. And Celie graduated last spring as well. Stu's here.
Nice.
Okay, is Celie here?
No.
Okay, good. The Stockmos and Cindy, Cherry, and again, the last 5th grade class that Cindy had represented here. This is the Dunn family, and when he was a young lawyer, Dan Dunn had to go and give 30 presentations at local elementary schools about seatbelt safety, one of his duties. And the last school he went to was a place called Nativity School. His son at that time, Dylan, was about to enter kindergarten. They were thinking, well, what school should we send him to? And when Dan came home from Nativity, he announced to Pauline that we're going to Nativity. Because Mike, he's often told me, when I walked into Nativity, I felt something different. Mike, I felt love in that school. 30 schools, he's going to give all these presentations. The atmosphere, the environment in this Catholic school is different. Cindy Hutchins, Deacon Award winner. Congratulations, Cindy. Cindy's going to turn and use the chair there and use the portable. First of all, congratulations. We'll get a picture later, okay? Congratulations.
Wow. I don't mind. I'm kind of blurry today, so I think I'm going to take these off. Oh, I look around and I'm just kind of overwhelmed. That sense of community, that sense of love. I gotta put my glasses back on so I can see everybody that's here. It's just such an honor. I was so surprised to get the phone call, and I certainly don't feel deserving of it, but it will certainly accept it on behalf of all the marvelous students and families and staff that I've had the privilege to work with over the years. It's just been an absolute fun time. When somebody said, you retired and you were in that school for that long of a time. And I said, I have to admit, I loved every single day. I mean, there were certainly some times that you go home and go, ooh, you know, but every day was just a delight and full of joy. And I think I'll go back just a little bit to my early years, my being raised in Crookston, Minnesota with my parents, Russ and Eleanor Naves, who were, like you could see, quite creative. You know, there was a photographer in town and a teacher at the high school that did those Christmas cards, but I'm not sure. Well, I think I do know where those came from. Actually, I think they're from this table. But we have one from every year for sure. And my parents were loved to be with kids, and I think that was my first, you know, feeling of the joy of working with kids and being with kids. And from day one, my mom taught dancing in our basement, and she would put on an ice show in Crookston. And every child that wanted to be in the ice show got a homemade costume. Mom had seamstresses in town that would make a costume for every child so that every child felt part of it. And the other, that sense of, I'm rambling here, but that sense of community. When I first met Mike and realized that he had married a gal that I knew from when she was a little girl. My dad was an optician in Crookston, and he had a optometrist friend in Warren who, the two of them, when my mom would put on the ice show, they would do the music, and so they would do reel-to-reel music. Wally Lamb and his wife Jan is here today, and that's Sean's mom. I mean, the connection here, and that's where those cards came from, because we go way back, but I remember her optometrist husband and my dad, an optician, putting together all this music for the ice show for the kids so that they could have this wonderful experience. But that sense of joy from kids, and they also were very dear friends with a lot of the priests and sisters in the community, and so the love of the Catholic faith just kind of started me off there. And then throughout the years with the Benedictine sisters, and ending up at St. Ben's, which was a great final spot for me. And then my first job was at Sacred Heart in East Grand Forks. I was hired by my 6th grade teacher, Sister Mary Jean Gust, and I was offered the position. I got $5,000 and I could live in the convent. So, yeah, what a deal. But I was really living back home, because so was my high school boyfriend and best friend. He was living at home and going to UND, so I wasn't ready to move into the convent. I had already had other hopes that things would happen. And so we got married in 1976, and he took a job with the city of Moorhead, of which he worked for 40-some years. We're not real big into change in our household, as you can tell. But I remember applying for the job at Nativity, and as I said in the program, I remember walking in, and Agnes Harrington, some of you remember Agnes, she was the president of the hiring board at that time, and Father Mueller, and I swear there had to be 20 people in the room, and I was just so nervous. And I remember Agnes asking me if I would feel comfortable teaching open court, and I'm thinking, open court. That sounds like an athletic thing. I think, yes. I said, you know, I really think I could teach kids how to play open court. Well, then I find out after I was offered for the position that Open Court was the new language arts series that they were putting into the school. So it had nothing to do with athletics. So I'm not sure how I got the position, but I got it. So. Anyway, and that's when I, ran into this wonderful community of all of these wise people. I go back to, of course, Sharon Balcom, Mary Lou Dahms, who I know is here today, Marlene Christensen, all these people that kind of took me under wing as a young teacher and gave me the wisdom that they had and the love for the faith that they had, and then got to work side by side with so many great staff members, and got to the point where after 9 years, I think, I went for 4th grade. I taught 4th grade, kindergarten, and junior high religion and art for 1 year. That was quite interesting. Then at that time, the principal took a position in the beginning of the school year, and so I was asked to step in just for the year to take over as principal. And I thought, well, I had taken one administrative class. I had 2 little boys at home. I don't know, but I'll give it a shot. And I found that I just absolutely really loved working with the families and all aspects of the school. And so that year went into like 37 or 38 more years of that. And some of the things that I think my fondest, when I think of what were some of my fun things that I remember, is that we always, as a staff, I felt, had a lot of joy and a lot of fun helping kids see the good that they were and how much God loved them and that God was walking beside them. And that's a really joyful thing and gives you delight each day. And I think as a staff, we found a way to make that happen. And I look around and I see Tammy back there, and Jill, and Rhoda, of course, right here, and former teachers that I've had the chance to work with. And then the families, I mean, just the best. And I think one thing I did that is my secret is getting dads involved in PTO, because they bring a different dimension and they get work done, where sometimes us gals like to talk a little bit too much and don't get the work done. But I look around and I think, well, Lee, and the work you did, and Chris, your leadership, and Jeff, and I can go around the room and then go back further to Roger Fenstead and the Hofers and all the parents that got involved and all the support that was always there, whether we were making pizzas in the gym. When I think back to, would we, manage the codes now? I don't think so. But anyway, yeah. So that was to work with families and get to know people over the years. And like I said, just that sense of every day having fun. Miss Fun right here, sitting next to me, Betty Lou. We'd go to the national conferences together, and we'd be up dancing the Irish jig together at the evening events. We sure did. And I just was so grateful for all of that. I think also we stayed true to the church's teaching on the liturgical seasons, and I think that's something that I'd like to think was kind of something kind of pretty special. And thanks to Rhoda's expertise and talents, and Sharon guiding us, and the Brookbauers, and lots of people involved. Over the years, we really celebrated, I think, the liturgical seasons well. The lights of the city became something special to a lot of people. All the seasons, even the season of Lent, we would find a way to celebrate well. And then, of course, we would, you know, at the end of the school year have the I am a promise, I am a possibility, I am a promise of all that God wants me to be. And I think, if anything, I'm hoping that I was able to pass some of that on to some of the marvelous students that I was able to have. And, you know, we'd end up the last day of school flying kites out on the playground. And I said, I had to put that picture in of Stu and Celie and I, because I had Stu in 4th grade right there.
Wow.
Stu Stockmo, there's a good example of a great student right there. And when he was in 4th grade, I wasn't quite sure if he'd make it through middle school or high school. And then I find out that later that he's married this lovely lady, Sherry Kleinsasser, and I look down the hall in kindergarten open house, and here comes Stu with Celie and a little pink lunchbox, and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, full circle here. So to be able to be there that long, where I got to see families come through and then bring their children through, what a blessing that was. So thank you so much for the recognition, and like I said, I just, you all have a special place in my heart. This is a great gift of God that we have this in our community. And thank you to Jill Cook, who's continuing it now at Nativity School, and to Mike and Mary Beth that has guided us along the way to be the best that this school could ever be. And Kyle, you know, those tater tots, that was a good deal. So thank you so much.